No one ever makes it hot enough? Okay then, you asked for it. I used to be a chef in a Mexican restaurant in a small town in Australia nearly 40 years ago. We were modestly popular and I loved working there. One night a young man came in to dine with a young lady. It was very obviously a first date. They ordered a nachos to share with a side of jalapenos for their entree. And he ordered a steak Veracruz, hot, for his main, and the young lady ordered a chicken burrito, mild, for hers. I, as I usually did throughout the night, would walk around the tables and ask if people were enjoying the food. After the nachos I checked on them and the young man informed me that the chili that accompanied the nachos were not hot at all and that he loved hot food. I was informed that he had traveled extensively and had eaten some of the hottest food in the world and that no one had ever made a dish too hot for him. He reiterated that he wanted his steak main extra hot. To be honest, I found him to be pompous and rather obnoxious in the way he was speaking down to me, and found myself taking a disliking to him. I will add at this point that the young lady was looking a little uncomfortable and I got the impression her date was not going as she had expected. I headed to the kitchen. I made her a lovely chicken burrito while putting together his steak. He wanted it hot? He was going to get it. Our steak Veracruz was usually a steak cooked and topped with our house tomato sauce base with some capsicums, bell peppers for you Americans, and onions with a touch of chili. On this occasion I set to work. Keep in mind this was Australia back in the 80s and we did not get a lot of different chilies back then, and a jalapeno was considered hot by most Aussie palates. Hey, we were an uneducated bunch. I had a few bird's eye chilies in the kitchen that were mainly there for the staff and the resident Mexican guitarist's meals, so I started with those. I finally diced about 10 of those with their seeds. I then started sweating off my onions and capsicums. I then threw in the chilies and then I added about a tablespoon of chili powder and about a tablespoon of cayenne. I soon felt the fumes hit my nose and the back of my throat and my eyes started watering. I ran to the door of the kitchen to get a breath of breathable air as the air in my tiny kitchen was rapidly becoming unbreathable. I ran back to my pan and put a ladle of the house tomato sauce in. I then let that simmer for a few minutes. I then added some chopped up jalapenos from a jar in my fridge and thought, why not? And in went a bit more chili powder. I then put the flash fried steak in to finish it off in the sauce. I served it all up on a plate with some rice. Served up the chicken burrito and hit the bell for the waitress to serve it to the table. The waitress came back and told me that as she placed it in front of him he said, "This had better be hot." She assured him the chef had done as he requested. I went to the door of the kitchen, joined by my waitress, to watch the show unfold. And unfold it did. I watched with glee as he sliced the steak, took a piece on his fork and with a smug look on his face, he put it in his mouth. He took a chew and then realized his mistake. I saw it, that moment when his face changed, but he was trying so hard not to show it. He couldn't. He was on a date and he had bragged so hard and now he had to go through with it. He ate the steak. I could see every ounce of pain on his face. He struggled hard. His date watched him with a slight smile on her lips and I got the impression that she was thoroughly enjoying his pain. He went through several jugs of water. He sweated. He barely spoke. He looked damned uncomfortable. At the end of the meal I came out of the kitchen and asked him if he had enjoyed his meal. His words could have been hotter. He never came back. His date? She became a regular and told us he was an insufferable fool and she never saw him again. I have no regrets other than I wish Carolina Reapers had been around then. I've been eating at the same Thai restaurant for years. Chef asked me how hot. I said, "Hurt me." She did. Brought a chair out to chat and laugh at me while I tried not to chug water. She also only gave me 1 scoop rice instead of her normal 2. So I couldn't dilute it. Crapped barbed wire for a week. Other side of things. My dad likes hot food too. He was visiting my brother and they order takeout from a Chinese place over the phone. Dad asks for a certain spicy meal. The conversation goes like this. Nice Chinese lady. NCL. How hot? 1 to 10? Dad. 10. NCL. I give you 8. Over the course of a few months of visits, Dad has finally become known to them. And they always give him 10. Cute for her to watch out for posturing idiots like your guy. As for me, Dad likes to tease me and say I think pancakes are too spicy. This reminds me of when I was 18. My father was Hispanic, so we ate a bunch of hot Mexican food. And I had a decent tolerance for heat. My girlfriend loved Chinese, but we rarely had it. So I was exploring the menu and loving dishes like Kung Pao, Szechuan, and plum sauce. Part of the heat profile in some dishes is obtained by adding chili piquin as it cooks. But my girlfriend warned me that you don't eat them. PFF'd. Me? I can handle my chili. Yeah, I only did that once. Haha. Haha. My husband had a similar moment our first time in Mexico. But it was in good fun. He asked for salsa. They freshly chopped up some salsa. When the waiter brought it over, he asked if it had habanero in it. The man smiled and said sí. My husband scooped 2 big piles on his enchilada, took a big bite, and gave a thumbs up to all of the waiters watching us. After they looked away in disappointment, he was like, I need water. Quote, lol, we remember that moment fondly as he didn't want to look like a dumb American tourist vibe. Mexico. P.S. We love the spicy stuff now. First ever curry we went for. Most of us went for the classic korma or madras. If we were feeling a bit cocky, friend went for a vindaloo. Waiter could see we were only young and inexperienced in the ways of the world, and tried to dissuade the friend from his choice. He remained adamant, in a, how hot can it be, kind of way, in spite of being raised on the meat and 2 veg diet of the time. We all tucked in once the food arrived, and enjoyed our first taste of exotic cuisine, bar the friend, who, through clenched teeth, pretended to savor his meal as his shirt get darker and stuck to more of his torso as the sweat started flowing freely. He still maintaining that it was all right at the end. In spite of his virtually dripping shirt, he recommended going for a carvery next time out. I did that same thing when I was a kid. I was so used to putting every hot sauce I could find on my food that I thought I could handle heat. Turns out I was bested by a cook at a mall food court. Of course I still ate it and ended up having a good conversation with the guy after. He was surprised I could even finish the food. He and my dad were just laughing watching me try to hold back the pain. Everyone I know who dared a restaurant that they couldn't make something too hot for them to eat, they were humbled. I pity the man's bowels. There is this Indian place I go to every once in a while. They used to have a heat scale for your curry from 110. One night I am there order my curry dish. They ask me how hot I want it. I ponder for a moment and decide 8 is acceptable for me. I like it hot, but not enough for my O-ring to burst off. So I tell them the number. They look at me with bewilderment and ask, "Are you sure?" Quote, "Yes," I reply. "I'm pretty sure." The waiter brings it out and like 3 other people behind him. I am presuming they were witnesses. Place my dish and just stand there. I look at them like, "Hey guys, I am gonna eat. You're being weird standing here." Then it clicks in my head they think I am gonna crack. So I load up my plate, scoop my food and take a bite. Perfect. I give them a thumbs up and while I am eating I mutter out, "Perfect." All the people in attendance to my personal spicy food competition were both confused and relieved. The entire interaction was quite amusing to me, though a bit odd, but by no means was a dick about it. Well played. As someone who likes chili, I felt this. At least he didn't get a nosebleed and ringing in his ears, even though who knows, right? Like me when I was trying to sprinkle my lunch with some Carolina powder and a lump of it dropped from inside the container, which was like 5x amount of what I'd normally use. Yet I just decided to eat it anyway. I actually still enjoyed the taste of it, but it was little too intense. I frequently went to this Sri Lankan restaurant near my work. It was a hole in the wall with a buffet-style counter where they had the food on display for you to buy. I loved their shrimp fried noodles. I called them spicy noodles. And one day there was a nice-looking stew in the counter. So I inquired how hot it would be, and the lady behind the counter, owner's wife, both from Sri Lanka, told me, "Oh, it's slightly spicy, maybe medium, but very nice and tasty." So I looked her in the eyes and responded with the following: "Look at me, I am the local white man, while you are a beautiful woman from Sri Lanka. Please be honest to me." Her answer: "Oh, white boy, you will die if you eat it," while having a big smile on her face. I bought a potion for my wife because she loves hot and spicy food and can handle the heat, and she went for extra plain yogurt and rice while eating it. However, she did enjoy the stew. Never mess with spicy food because you will regret it. I used to work in the local Mexican restaurant in town. Years before I worked there though, my buddies and I went in for a meal. They served wings in addition to the Mexican fare, and my buddy ordered the hottest wings they had. They were usually not very hot, but he requested they make them as hot as they can. The cooks took the challenge. With limited ingredients at their disposal, we were just teenagers, so it didn't take much to overwhelm my buddy. He was sweating, nose running, chugging water. They came out to watch and laugh at him. He only finished a few of them before throwing in the towel. Years later, when I was working there, I once ate a spoonful of cayenne pepper powder on a dare. It was a lot hotter than I expected, and the whole kitchen had a good laugh. Good times. I got caught up in another table's make it hot nonsense. I went to a restaurant regularly and I would order the chili prawns. They were nicely flavored but not super spicy. One night we went and the table beside us had ordered before we got there. I ordered my usual chili prawns, and at the first bite my lips went numb and my mouth was on fire. I called the waitress across and asked what was up with the heat of the prawns. She says, "Well, they are always like that. Nope, I get them every time I come." She gets the manager, who recognized us. He confessed that the other table had complained that it wasn't hot enough, so chef amped up the heat. It felt by a millions times. I happened to get caught in the crossfire. Manager removed it from the bill and comped my main course too, as I was taking home with me because I couldn't taste anything after that. I asked for them to make me cry like my date is breaking up with me. I have cried like a baby many times. He was as stupid as going out for Thai, and when asked how hot you want it, saying native Thai. Reddit has taught me a few things over the years. Never wear white to a wedding that isn't yours. Never try to launch a boat at Haulover Inlet. Never challenge the kitchen staff. I once visited friends in Brazil. This one friend had his own fruit and vegetable garden and a plot of pepper plants. For dinner, he was cooking a seafood bobo stew. It was a very large pot, enough for 20 people. He added just one tiny pinch of pepper. I have no idea about the type, and I was joking about it. Back then I wasn't used to spicy food. When the stew was being served, everybody was looking expectantly at me while I tried a small spoonful. Suddenly my whole mouth was on fire. It took me several glasses of milk just to be able to breathe again. Rolling on the floor laughing, my friends still gently tease me that I look like a gasping fish. I still regret not having been able to eat the stew, because it smelled delicious. I got my revenge though. A couple of years later I visited the Czech Republic with one of the Brazilian friends who had laughed. The mother of our host had prepared dinner with an assortment of cold traditional dishes. Among them fresh horseradish. I love horseradish, but this one was really hot. I told the host about my prank and we all in the know loaded our plates with fresh shredded radish. The friend garnished a dish with a huge pile and ate it in one go, rolling on the floor laughing her face. But she was a good sport. And when I bravely ate a sausage with lots of radish, she applauded smiling face with hearts. I love spicy food, but at some point it becomes more about the spice than the food. If you can't even taste the actual food, it's too spicy. Like I'm gonna order spicy chicken because I like chicken, not because I like spicy. I went to a Thai restaurant and I nicely asked the chef to make me cry. I cried and smiled. It was beautiful. The kitchen staff watched me eat the food. I really needed the heat though. I deal with sinus issues and man, that cleared me up. I've been eating spicy food since I was about 4, so usually when a dish is labeled as spicy to me it feels mild. Usually asking for a bit of extra spice works, but some days I just need a good cry. One time I was in Thailand with friends and we are at the little Thai place quite often in the 2 months we were there. My one friend the first night to have his meal Thai spicy. I made the mistake of trying his dish before even starting mine. After the meal he said it was good and the next time asked for it even hotter. I'm pretty sure he had no taste buds. By the end of the 2 months when we were leaving, the owner said she would miss my friend because he liked his food hotter than her own children. Haha.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.